Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Threezero DLX scale figure unboxing and review. Today we're taking a look at Iron Spidey. Now I got mine as a review sample direct from Threezero. I have popped a link to their site in the description below. As always, all opinions are 100% my own. I've not been asked to only say good things. If you are heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as a brand new Threezero DLX figure review goes live on the channel. As for the box art, up front we've got an image of the figure itself, an Avengers Infinity War logo, and his name down below. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, I wish Threezero could make these in 1/6 scale, because their engineering is second to none, even better than Hot Toys in my opinion. On the side of the box, we've got an image of the figure waving at us, his name once more, and a metallic foil Iron Spider logo. On the other side of the box, some more figure photography, Spidey this time is web swinging, and a lot more gold foil at the bottom with the Iron Spider logo, a web pattern, and some text circuitry. Around the back, I may actually end up stealing that pose because that is a sick looking shot of Spidey. Below it, warnings and legal info. Using the metallic gold as an accent color to help the web patterns or the frames around the images pop, I think was the right call because it adds some visual interest and contrast. If it wasn't here, the entire box would just be a satin finish. Underneath this top cover, which is held in place with Velcro, we've got some images highlighting Spidey's accessories, as well as an open window showcasing the figure and all of his accessories inside. I'm not sure if this was intentional, but the box insert is printed with some artwork on it, so you could technically use it as a backdrop for either figure photography or just in your display. First in-hand impressions for Iron Spidey. So far so good. He feels nice and heavy because these DLX figures have a ton of die-cast in them, and he's covered in metallic paint. What we're going to do now is get all of Spidey's accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Starting off with the display base first. Threezero, can y'all please start giving us bases with your 1/6 scale figures? Rambo, Stranger Things, G.I. Joe, Power Rangers, we need bases for all of them. If you don't want to include them in the box, at least consider selling them separately on your website so they're only there if collectors want them. Either way, Iron Spider does get a base. It's low profile, it's compact, and the shape sort of reminds me of Tony's Mark 50 onwards arc reactor. I don't know if that was intended or not, maybe it's a coincidence. We've got the Infinity Saga sculpted into the surface, and for the nameplate, it just says Iron Spider. The flight pole arm is on multiple different joints. Down below, it can rotate, hinge left and right, and go forward and back, where up top, we've got two more joints. And this is how it attaches to Spidey via a peg, rather than relying on a waist clamp or something that would loosen up over time. We'll be discussing these Spidey arms and how we attach this backplate to him a little bit later when we actually get him out here. For now, just know that they come included and they're extremely well articulated. For web effects, we get the funnel web attachment that can connect to one of the longer webs, and I like these little spooled up sections that makes it look like the web has wrapped around itself. This one is at a right angle, so you could foreseeably use this for web swinging poses. We also get two of each of these, longer and shorter webs with the rounded ends, cast in translucent plastic, with the rings at the bottom, and that's how you connect these to Spidey. You slide these over his wrist peg, then you use the hand to lock everything in place. We do get a few different sets of lenses, and we'll go into much more detail on the lenses a little bit later. Luckily, they include a tool that you can use to help you pop them out of the head sculpt, and we'll go through that process as well. Lastly, we get a full array of hands, ranging from open palm hands painted in metallic red with washers in the web lines and fully detailed palms, Two thwipping hands, of course, and I like that the fingers are curling up as though they're pushing on that little activation switch on the palm. We also get wall crawling pose hands with the fingers curled outwards so they will sit flat on a surface. Web swinging pose hands with the thumbs sticking up so that we can insert the webs in between the thumb and the fingers. And two closed fists already installed on him out of the box. What we're going to do now is get Iron Spider himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. Threezero, y'all just don't miss. Such an underrated company and such an underrated figure line. They're accessory heavy, they're straight up physically heavy because of the die cast, and the engineering is very impressive. But most importantly for some, the paint is spectacular. Or should I have said amazing? I'm so sorry. You get what I'm trying to say though, I'm enamored by this piece. The Iron Spider suit isn't everyone's favourite Tom Holland MCU Spidey suit, but if it's yours and you've been hankering for something to mess around with on your desk and pose the shit out of, well, I don't think it gets much better than this. Up close and personal, kicking things off with Spidey's helmet. Shape and size-wise, this looks pretty accurate to me. It looks bang on. It doesn't sit too high or too low on the neck, and it fits in proportion with the body. We have his nose around the front, and the suggestion of his ears around the sides. The web lines are fully sculpted in, with washes in the crevices over the top of this very lush, metallic, juicy looking red, so the lines do stand out. But my favorite detail has to be the lenses. They've added this mesh honeycomb layer underneath the translucent lens over the top, and they've painted that in metallic silver with a blue wash on it. So even though we don't have any LEDs in this sculpt, yeah, the metallic silver bounces light off it, and it almost looks like the eyes are illuminated anyway. But he's got some switch out lenses, so let's give them a go. Let's do this rapid fire. So first off, we've got the semi-squinted lenses, still with the blue in the middle. Fully squinted, once again, blue in the middle. These will work great for a dynamic pose. And lastly, insta-kill. Adding the red to the silver honeycomb underneath that translucent layer to the squinted eyes just makes this dude look so freaking mean. I am tempted to rock him with these lenses in for a while at least. Oh, and to switch out the lenses, you have to use this included little bracket tool piece. You wedge it inside the sculpt, and then you can pop it through that hole and push out the lenses. While we're here, kudos to Threezero for doing away with broken neck connectors, because that double ball peg is made of metal. I've never really been convinced with other companies' attempts at Iron Spider figures adding the joints on the outside rather than underneath the suit like what Hot Toys did. But Threezero, y'all are converting me because this thing does look pretty seamless from a distance. Yes, you can see the cuts underneath his arms and the shoulder pads are separate floating pieces, but once you adjust everything and get the tolerances to be as tight as possible, yeah, this dude doesn't look bad at all. We will discuss how you attach his Iron Spider legs, or Waldos, I've seen some people call them, after we go through the detail on the surface of the suit. Around the back, we've got the gold pinstriping or outline around the metallic red spider logo. And the same thing goes for the blue panels too. There's a lot of gold outlining pretty much dotted everywhere around the suit. The most egregious gap on the entire thing is probably this one around the base of the neck. And the reason it's there is so that there's enough clearance between the neck and the body so that there's no paint rub and it allows for maximum range of motion. If you can live with that, everything else is going to be smooth sailing. The shoulder pads are articulated on hinges and ball joints, so you can get them out the way. And I like that they fully detailed the butterfly joint inserts. So when you bring the arms out and this piece is fully exposed, there's not just a sudden cutoff where the detail ends and the bare plastic body begins. He is pretty skinny, which is accurate to Tom in the Iron Spider suit, but that's not to say that there isn't any muscle definition. We can see his pecs poking through the suit, his abs down below, his biceps bulge out a bit, and the defined traps which lead down to the rounded shoulders. Interestingly enough, even though there is die-cast in this, like for the neck joint and other bits and pieces that are cold to the touch, the upper torso and the ab section and the diaper piece, they're all made of a softer, rubbery material. Usually, metallic red doesn't fare too well over time on rubber, but Threezero have been pretty good with their Ultraman releases, and I've not had any fading on them, so yeah, I reckon this should stand the test of time. The web shooters are small, but they're very well detailed. On the inside, we've got the little part where the web would shoot out of, and they're free floating, so you can line them up with the hand to make it look like the web effects when you attach them are actually coming out of those web shooters. There's essentially three pieces you're going to have to adjust. The hand first, then the web effect, it's just on this ring over the top of the wrist peg, and after that, the web shooter. There's enough of a gap between the web shooter itself and the hand that it's not pushing the hand off. This is still snapped in place very securely. Coming down to the legs, the blue parts are more textured compared to the red and gold sections. And I think that's accurate. They diffuse light differently, so it adds contrast and a little bit more visual interest. They're still metallic, but they're shiny in a different way, if that makes sense. We've got the panel lines sculpted in front and back, then we get to the boots with the web lines, and there's even some fully sculpted and painted detail on the underside of the feet. Installing the mechanical spider legs is not an arduous process at all. The first thing you want to do is remove this back panel, and having pre-installed the legs onto the alternative backplate, making sure the bottom ones that can't go fully flat are correctly connected to the bottom ports, and the top ones that can are up top. Now we've got Spidey wearing his legs, and after this review is done, I'm always going to have him with these on because they add so much presence and a pop of color. The gold is nice and shiny and metallic, and it ties in with the rest of the gold on his outfit. As for articulation, they're on hinges and swivels at the base, another hinge here, one more, and then one right at the end for the quite spiky sharp claws. Do be careful not to cut yourself by putting pressure on these when you're posing him. This is a little bit awkward, but they do include this tool, and Spidey has a butt port. This is going to go flying, but it's okay, I'll find it later. That's how you attach him to the display base. No clamps, no crotch grabbers, a butt port. It may be strange, but at least it's secure and you're never going to be able to see it from the front. For a quick side-by-side comparison, on the left, Threezero's DLX scale Iron Spider, and on the right, Hasbro's Marvel Legends new red and blue suit Spidey. They're not in scale. Unless you get very dynamic with the Iron Spider's posing, I don't think this is going to work. You may be able to fudge it if you have him crunching down or jumping in the air. Just standing there next to other Marvel Legends, not so much. This doesn't look right to me. He's much taller than Hasbro Spidey, and the proportions are so much better. I don't know why Marvel Legends Spider-Man figures always have such low shoulders, but that's the thing that my eye goes straight to, and it throws everything off. It's better, but not quite there. This is Mafex's classic costume Spidey. Yes, when he slips into the Iron Spider suit, there would be a bit of a height boost, but not this much. At least the Mafex figure is bigger than the Marvel Legends one. What you're probably starting to notice is that Threezero, they went with their own scale on this. Threezero figures work best next to other Threezero figures. See what I mean? This is Threezero's Iron Man Mark V in DLX scale. He's significantly taller than Spidey, so they're in scale, this looks about right to me. I haven't filmed the review for him yet, so stay tuned. We'll just treat this as an early sneak preview. Going over articulation, if I miss a joint, I apologize in advance because this figure is chock full of them. I already said the engineering is crazy earlier, and I stand by that. This has to be one of the most well-engineered figures that I've ever handled. Starting off with his head sculpt. There's a ball joint at the base of the neck, then up underneath the helmet, a double ball peg. Combined, looking forward to there, looking up to there, heaps of range for a web swinging pose, swivel, and tons of pivot side to side. His shoulder pads are articulated, so we can get them out of the way. The arms will go up to there, going forward and back. There's a butterfly joint at the shoulder that hinges up and down. Swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow going the full way. Then for the wrist, it's a double ball peg. His upper torso crunches forward to there, and there's just enough clearance underneath that bottom point for the spider logo that even when you crunch him forward to the max, I don't think you have to worry about paint rub. Combined with the waist joint, you get him going this far forward. Going back to there, swivel, and pivot side to side. His legs drop down on multiple joints, both first at the hips and then at the thighs, which exposes a joint I have never experienced before. There's a hinge/swivel at the top part of the thigh, so you can bend the leg forward for some crazy Spidey poses. The legs will go out to there, going forward and back, plus there's a swivel at the upper thigh. Double bend at the knee going the full way. A double ball peg for the ankles, good for forward and back, swivel as well as ankle tilt, plus toe articulation. Wrapping up on Threezero's Iron Spider. This being their first attempt at a die-cast Spider-Man figure, and no, I do not count that chonky robot from back in the day made by their sister company 3A, I'm impressed. For a first attempt, they killed it. It's weighty, and you can tell it's quality. The paint is sublime, but they didn't just stop at aesthetics. He's insanely posable thanks to Threezero's second-to-none engineering skills. They may even be the best in the business at this point. They've had plenty of practice with their Transformers. Fingers crossed, one day we can see them unshackled from being stuck making these smaller scale figures and do something like this in 1/6 scale. Not that this size is bad though. They've been pumping out Iron Man figures at a steady rate, and they've even thrown in a Black Panther and now an Iron Spider. Will they ever do like a Cap or a human style character? Well, that remains to be seen. This form factor, this size of figure is just so much fun. You can pose the shit out of it, you can have it on your desk, or you can build a diorama and have him alongside the other Avengers. And that's the best part about figures in this scale. If you are building a 1/6 scale diorama, that takes up way more room, so maybe sometimes, when it comes to figures, smaller is better. Or not, it's just down to personal preference. 1/6 scale is still my favourite scale. At the end of this though, this is a beast of an Iron Spider figure, and I'm so happy to have it. Now, I got mine as a review sample direct from Threezero. I have popped a link to their site in the description below. As always, all opinions have been 100% my own. I have not been asked to only say good things. If you are heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.